Please turn off or silence all cell phones during the meeting. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and midnight and available for viewing on YouTube and Facebook Live. This is our first study session of the new year, and we're going to start out with Camp Leavenworth discussion.
I'm going to turn this over to our Assistant City Manager, Penny Holler, to start.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So I'm excited to be on the team planning for Camp Leavenworth 2022, along with several other members of the city staff. For those who are familiar with event planning, you'll know that the clock for the countdown to the event has already started, so it's probably timely that we look at this, even though the event is several months away. And that's really why the purpose of this presentation is to update you on the current planning strategy and gain your feedback on continuing this successful event for another year. And you can expect to receive regular updates throughout the year as well. So Camp Leavenworth 2022. This is really, again, under construction and the purpose of what we're looking at today. So let's review the festival timeline. 2019 was the first year, the pilot year that we held Camp Leavenworth. Pre-pandemic, 2020, we didn't hold Camp Leavenworth in that same manner. It was really an alternate event. And so 2021 that we just had in September was really our second year to have Camp Leavenworth. And I hesitate to say pandemic recovery, but I think in September that's where we thought we were. So that's the context. So really what I'm trying to say is we've had 2 years of Camp Leavenworth, and they may not have been what one might call a typical year. So if I'm looking at 2021, about 10,500 estimated attendees. We had a major headliner, Melissa Etheridge, was able to attend, and generally it was an enjoyable community event. We received a lot of positive feedback on staff, and I believe the commission did as well. And there were definitely some 2021 successes. So the festival flow and the layout, which is really that map of where things are located, where people walk, the spacing, the activities that are there. We heard generally good feedback that went well. We also think that as we continue to look at the activities for various attendees, the ones that were added in seem to go well. And most importantly, from the event planning standpoint, really that safety and preparedness went well. And sometimes that's the behind the scenes work that you really don't see, but the success is that there were no major incidents that happened as a result of the event. And that's also where you can see the value of a professional event organizer who can really look at crowds and prevent some of those circumstances from even occurring. And if you look at the contract with O'Neill Events and Marketing, which was included in your packet, you'll see that that's one of their areas of expertise and one of the things that they bring to the table. So along with our event organizer, we conducted an after-action review to look at potential improvements for the event going forward. And we received feedback on the timing and activities, and we really heard about the potential to improve communication through greater outreach and multiple sign-up avenues from vendors. And we really want to ensure a high-quality themed event where we can find those locally with folks who are in our community. We want to make those connections. So if you recall, there was an event website that the event organizer put together, but we want to do some improvements on channeling folks either to the website or create alternate mechanisms so we can make sure we're maximizing local participation. So we're now here in the 2022 planning. We're working on getting the internal and external team in place. We are working on identifying a more constant budget. So pilot year, you're learning, you're trying things. Second year, we had a major headliner with additional costs. So really this is the year we're looking to normalize and level out the budget and look at what can we expect this event to cost in a typical year going forward. We're also putting on our creative thinking caps and looking at what new activities that we can possibly have that would bring in new attendees and new audiences. And something that I'm excited about is the Convention and Visitors Bureau actually purchased some software. And it's really kind of a neat software program, and hopefully we'll get to hear about it more. But in essence, it pulls from cell phones, and you can identify the number of people by their cell phones that attended an event like this. So again, this is preliminary, and you'll be hearing more about it, but we pulled data for cell phones that were present over the 2 days in these locations, and it estimated about 5,600 individual cell phones. So again, that's one data point to look at. Obviously, if you have that feature turned off on your phone, you're not going to show up. You didn't bring your phone with you. Many children were at the event. Not all of them have cell phones. But hopefully we'll be able to look at those numbers more closely as far as not only total attendees, but there also is the ability to adjust the software to look at visitors within a certain mile radius. So we can look at how many were 50 miles out, which for Convention and Visitors Bureau is kind of the tourist, that's the draw you're looking to have to come to your city. So we'll be looking at that for 2022, and hopefully that'll be one performance metric that we can look at as we evaluate it going forward. And then really it's, this is the time for questions and feedback. I think most of the folks in this room probably were able to attend, receive feedback, had some thoughts on it. So as we're looking to plan this for 2022, what are your questions? What are your thoughts as we go forward?
Madam Mayor,
Go ahead.
I have a question. I know when I was there and I said to the crowd, how many are from our local and how many are out of town? The out of town, by far seemed like a lot more. What do you see in your data in regard to that? Do we have a lot more people from out of town with this?
So again, we're still learning the software. I just got some of the numbers last week, but I'm going to make up a number that looks like 500 outside attendees from outside a 50-mile radius.
Oh, okay.
Just as the number that I have
That
with
was
the
a bit loud.
preliminary data. So again, some of this we want to dig in. I want to know when I'm giving data, where does it come from? What's the margin of error? How effective do we think this is? I don't have all that information, so I would couch that with, at this point, it's preliminary.
Okay.
I think
yeah.
it'd also be important, when you asked, it was Saturday night at the Melissa Etheridge concert.
Yes.
Is there time stamping with the data?
Oh,
So
with the rest of
yeah,
the weekend.
well, exactly right. Did we get more local on Friday night and Saturday day and more? So again, very new software that we need to really figure out what we're looking at.
Right, and yeah, I'd be curious with, I believe, from my understanding from different individuals, that the hotels were all pretty full, but.
That's the anecdotal information that we've heard.
But-
I think that's also something we
Right, you
try to
don't know
dig
until
into
you
more.
actually would ask them, yeah.
I mean, in some ways, it's, we know in general that, September as a month was good for transient guest tax. How much of that can we attribute to this one event? Sometimes that gets a little difficult, but we're gonna try to do a better job digging into the data for that so we can really provide that. Because I think one of the purposes of this is to bring in those out-of-town visitors to Leavenworth.
Right, now I know, I helped with the event in the first one, volunteered, and it went well, but it was a little rainy in that. But this one last year, the weather was beautiful, and I volunteered Friday and Saturday, and did get to go around to the vendors and the food truck and talk to a lot of people, and they were thankful we had it. It was a beautiful day. They could just sit there and listen to the variety of music, variety of vendors we had, and the food. Everyone was talking about all the different foods. They had to, I think, try almost all of them. But the only down that I heard was the first year we had 2 gates, and this last year we had 1, and it wasn't marked very well. So that was the only downside. So, and I think that was just off memory. People that went the first year, they're like, well, you had one here and here, now all of a sudden, and other people were wandering that weren't from around Leavenworth, and there wasn't good signage. But that was the only really negative thing that I heard.
Yeah, we heard that as well.
Yeah.
I think it worked
So-
better, but moving the stage, closed that second one on Esplanade, the second access. So we definitely need to make sure that front, essentially the front door to the festival, yeah, has a little bit more
Signage
to
is
it. Yeah,
better.
for sure.
Yeah. So, Commissioner Hengela, did you have anything?
Couple of things.
Okay, yeah.
I think we all know, we've heard rumor, right? That the local businesses in Leavenworth were either A, not contacted, or B, not allowed to participate as vendors. Now, the way I see it, a lot of these businesses, if they don't have portable stuff, they're not gonna wanna go over there.
Right.
In addition to having to have that kind of equipment, they also have to have labor that can be there for the whole time. So I'm not sure how much of it is true or not true. How are we contacting the local, is it actually going out by mail, or is it door to door? Somebody is going out, is the Chamber of Commerce or Main Street or somebody going and actually talking to these people and asking them, do you want to be a vendor there? I even heard so much as, oh yeah, they were charging local vendors twice as much as they were charging people from down there. And it happens, rumors get started, and, once you get them started, they keep going. So,
Right.
So I think rather than sort of litigate what, this
yeah.
anecdote versus this anecdote, we're just gonna try to do better. We're just
Yeah.
gonna try to overwhelm with outreach through
that'd
Main
be
Street,
terrific.
through the chamber, through Facebook, through
Email.
through the city's newsletter, as many avenues as we can, and make it easier for those who, like you said, can meet the requirements, who can be mobile, who can
Yeah.
staff and can do that. Make sure that if there are barriers, that we eliminate those barriers. So that's what we're really focused on for
well, the ones we
2022.
can.
Right,
We're not gonna buy people.
that's right.
Portable-
And we can't staff
portable
it, and
trucks.
you need to be able to accept credit
Right.
cards remotely. I mean, there are some
Sure.
requirements. Being a festival vendor is a specialty, operation,
Oh, yeah.
so.
That's
Yeah.
why food trucks are,
Sure.
they fit right in there perfectly. One of your slides talked about, not getting rid of, but like maybe replacing activities that were less popular. Can you tell me some of the activities were less popular? Not that I saw any.
Sure, yeah, I think the s'mores making actually wasn't as popular as I
Really?
had anticipated.
It was before.
It was the first
So,
year.
that's something with whether that's location or whether that's just the activity or the timing. I mean,
Yeah.
some of those are, did we have the right location because they had to get tickets elsewhere and then bring it across the tracks?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
as an example, that could be one that we look at that didn't perform as well as we expected. So does it need tweaks to continue it, or is that something we want to look to bring in another activity?
We had it down by where Silent Disco was the second year. That's where S'mores was the first year. And I think there's some synergy of having, children at Silent Disco and having the S'mores there too, sort of in that area. Yeah, I think that's part of it. From the first year, we got rid of the axe throwing and
Right.
the zip line. The zip line was a little expensive.
Right.
And so,
I was
one thing I
concerned
will,
about the axe
that I will note is we
Well, it was in a
did,
cage, but.
we did quite a bit of scrambling.
I'm still like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did quite a bit of scrambling over the last couple months before the festival. The National Guard pulled out because of COVID. They have an obstacle course and a
Yeah.
climbing wall,
Yeah.
which is really neat. They have a whole
That's neat.
rigging set for children.
And it costs us zero.
Right, and so we did have some popular stuff that wasn't back, not because we didn't want it back, but because it wasn't available. And so, that was part of what went into 2021 was availability.
And the tree climbing also really wasn't as popular. So that's an example. We'll look at that and say, can we adjust it and make it better, or do we want to put our thinking caps on and come up with something else?
Different
And something that
activities.
might appeal to different audiences. So it seems like we've done well in general, but is there something we could have that might bring in folks who maybe didn't attend in 2021?
Commissioner Martin, I'm sorry.
One more thing.
Okay.
It was suggested to me that, why do they have it all concentrated in one place? Can't they use Haymarket Square? Can't they use the 20th Street, the park that has the skate park there? Can't we use these other places all at the same time? And I just didn't, I wasn't gonna field that one.
It's a
Yeah.
nightmare. It's a
Yeah.
nightmare. We've tried that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Oh,
it
did
is
they?
a nightmare.
I know that's gotta be difficult to do right off the bat.
Yeah, we struggled with volunteers this time. We struggled with police officers for security, so remote locations. The decision of the location, was between sort of the Haymarket area and the river area. It doesn't seem like it's that much bigger, but it's dramatically larger,
yeah.
the footprint that we have now. So, you know, you couldn't have done Melissa Etheridge at Haymarket if you're gonna have something like that.
Right.
No, you'd have people out on Sixth Street, Seventh Street.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Cherokee Street.
Yeah.
You name it, all over the place.
And it's, yeah, like you said, with the, you know, police force and all that, you know, at
Sure.
least it's in one
Oh,
area.
yeah. I mean,
You
you'd
know,
have to have a
we
lot of
had,
cops
didn't
out
we
there.
pull some other officers from Kansas
Yeah,
City or something?
we actually
There
had
was some
the
sheriff guys.
Sheriff.
sheriff and the Kansas Highway Patrol filled in the city while our entire police force was down at the festival.
Right, right, okay.
I
Commissioner
would
Martin?
also say budget, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Trying to-
budget too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna cost a lot more money.
We have to jump in there.
So, excuse me, so Penny, one thing I wanted to kind of throw out there, and, excuse me, sorry, I ate right before I came. So Paula kind of given me a breakdown of a few of the different components of, you know, all of this and the transient guest tax, you know, that we're using for the event and everything. And I wanted, you know, you talked about, hey, let's just focus on making it, you know, better this next time around. I guess, you know, like some thoughts, I think this is still kind of, you know, in your thought process right now, but I'd like to know, hey, are we gonna put together, you know, really a plan that's gonna measure the success of this event? And really, you know, what does that success look like? And I think part of it is not, you know, do we just get a lot of people to attend? Excuse me, sorry. But if they come in, we get a bunch of people from outside of town, they come in, they eat at the food trucks, say that aren't, you know, even from this area, and they leave, they're one-time visitors and they don't do anything else. They don't come back until next year again when we have the event. They don't shop locally, they don't eat locally. You know, is that something we want to spend, you know, almost $250,000 on? Now, I'm not saying we can't use this, because I think we can. I was talking to a couple different businesses and they just had some different ideas and said, hey, you know, what if we were able to, you know, use a trolley service or something, bring people in to downtown. Another gentleman said, hey, what if we were able to use some of the money we've got in this fund and provide more, you know, restaurant coupons, different, you know, shop coupons, different things to try to get people engaged, to get more of a taste for Leavenworth. And, you know, you mentioned, you know, both of you guys mentioned trying to do more to get more involvement with our, you know, local businesses and stuff like that. I would just love to see, you know, I guess I'll volunteer to try to help out with any of those groups that are trying to get businesses, you know, connected. But I really want to see us put a good effort. You know, we can't control everything that Main Street does and some of the other folks, but I would like to maybe we have a couple planning sessions and look at another avenue where we can bring more, you know, local businesses together and some type of forum where we can just kind of meet and say, hey, kind of ideation, get some thoughts out there. I mean, we're, you know, don't have a lot of time, but we got a little bit of time to get some of this out there. And just, you know, I think, you know, if we could partner with our local businesses a little bit more that way, get some feedback, say, hey, what do you want to see? This is a time where we're bringing a lot of people in. What would work? You know, and how could you see this benefiting you guys and maybe getting some new customers, you know, down the road? I know even with restaurants I've eaten at, I'm like, oh, wow, I wish I'd have tried that sooner because I'm going to go back there. So, you know, how can we use this and really provide that maximum amount of leverage, not just a fun event, but, okay, let's capitalize on it. You know, bring these people here, let's make sure we come back. So when it comes to measuring the economic, you know, impact and the success, not just from a, you know, how many visitors are we getting, but if we can get as much data as possible, you know, to track that a little bit more. I don't have all the answers for that, but just some thoughts that, you know, I want to make sure we can continue to build upon that, you know, going forward 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah, I think that's valuable feedback, because I think that's really the feedback we're looking for from you, is how do we want to measure success for this event? So certainly one measure is the analytics, the transient guest tax increase, the sales tax increase, the number of visitors. But I think sometimes when you're dealing with these events too, there isn't always a dollar value on the event that occurred here in September, that community building, that getting such a diverse group of people together in the same location and celebrating Leavenworth. So that is kind of my understanding of the two rough measures of success, but I guess that's really where we're looking for commission feedback is for this event to continue and to make that investment of funds, what would be successful?
And an idea too, and I don't know, maybe some of this did happen, but, with people staying at the different venues, if there was information about maybe, hey, here's some downtown restaurants if you want to check out, or here's our downtown shopping, just a little tidbit as they go to the festival.
So maybe better promotion of the city.
Of the city.
small-
Of the city,
More,
yeah.
yeah, internal promotion,
So like if I'm
signups.
coming to the festival and it's like, well, what else is going on in this little city? And then if I had something or a little Facebook, yeah, it's something, depending on whatever communication I look at, just to say, well, hey, here's a cool shop, let me go check this out. Or, yeah, maybe I want to eat at a food truck, but then maybe I want to go for dinner at a nice restaurant.
But again, definitely getting
Yeah.
the engagement with our local businesses,
Yeah.
and I think they'll go a long way too to say, hey, look, how can we do this together? It's our city, and how do we want to bring some good impact
Right.
through an event like this?
The more input, the better. Yeah. Yeah, good. Good job.
I have one more question. I saw, and I'm probably not gonna be able to just turn right to it, but I saw the dates on here for the upcoming one. And it said the 24th and 25th of 2021.
Yep, so
Oh,
you're looking
okay,
at
it's
the
not
previous
that.
contract. That's what
Yeah,
you're looking
I know.
at.
Yeah.
There were
So
some,
it's-
it looked like it almost looked like some of the dates were updated and were, moving forward. But I looked at, without looking at the 2021, I looked on the calendar. 24 and 25 are a Saturday and Sunday. And we're gonna have it on what, Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday, yeah.
Okay, do we have the dates yet?
We do. I want to, the second part of the discussion tonight is that we do plan to bring back a contract with O'Neill Events and Marketing to you. When we want to have a discussion tonight about it. And that's when we would bring it, we would announce the date for Camp Leavenworth at that point.
September.
Yeah, obviously the same
Yeah.
time of year. That was
Only the third
done.
week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually had to move it back a week this year because of a scheduling conflict with Melissa Etheridge.
Okay, cool. Okay. Commissioner Wilson, did you have any input or say anything?
Well, like I said, when you were talking about measurements of success and what you were, pointing at, Mr. Commissioner Martin, great points. The thing that I loved the most about it was, we just actually came out of the COVID season, and it brought everybody together. It was good healing for the community. It was a time of good fellowship, and we were able to win by bringing a hometown hero to our community to represent. That brought a lot of joy and excitement to so many people, but just being able to provide that opportunity, for Melissa, I think was great for the community as a whole.
Okay. Any other comments, committee commissioners? Okay.
Do we have any ideas? Who's gonna replace, what's her face there?
So
Melissa?
that's a question, an interesting question that we can discuss now if you'd like. So Melissa Etheridge was sort of a one-off. Before this festival even started, we thought, wouldn't it be cool, that she mentioned at the festival, she's always wanted to come back and play a concert here, but the question was where? There
Yeah.
wasn't a venue. So it has a sort of an amazing music lineup if you're a music person, and you know the bands. Some of them actually headline other small festivals or county fairs around. Do we look at this with a headliner on a Saturday, looking in, roughly the price range, or do we go back to a very good, solid, rounded lineup? And, Melissa was such a unicorn for this area because of the hometown. I don't know how that works. Kelly and all her expertise, we don't know how exactly that works, How does that jive with what we want the festival to be? do we want it to then set up that as a precedent? That we attempt sort of a known headlining name more regionally, or do we really focus on, Kansas City area, and just have really solid music lineup? It is also a budget question. I mean, the funds are available, but every dollar you spend on that is probably a dollar you're taking away from either activities or promotion or marketing or stuff like
And
that.
I think, Paul, I think if I saw right on the financial breakdown and what that looked like for the event, I want to say it was like 15,000 or less was actually spent on promotion for the event. So I think definitely something I want to put out there for the rest of the team here is, hey, if we did put, maybe we don't do a headline event, but if we gear more promotion and marketing dollars to other places, Kansas City, across the river, what could that potentially do? And I think Kelly should be able to give us some market intel on some of that, some of those questions, so.
And the first year of the festival, when I volunteered, there was a really nice variety of bands. And I lucked out because I worked at the gate that the band stand was right there. So I got to enjoy all of them, like the jazz, the country, the rock, alternative. Yeah, so it was very enjoyable. So, yeah, we got a bonus this time with Melissa Etheridge, but I got a lot of comments walking around about some of the other bands and people hoping that they would come back as well. Right. And like you said, those bands are, O'Neill looks at all those bands and they're big headliners in that. And, O'Neill helps out or does the Boulevardia and Irish Fest and all that. So I think we could just get as good quality bands like we did the first year, even we had this last time.
And do we want to focus more on the activities? I know that Sonic Disco was a huge hit.
That's been the 2 years that they had it.
So
Yeah.
we definitely got to keep that.
I need to try that.
Well, and that was in the original,
Yeah.
goals, as you know, the original goals was to have more activities for families and kids too, not just the music and
So
headliners.
that might be something, to look
Yeah,
at as
and
well.
I think, just getting Kelly to give us more, some of those pieces of information, what's been real successful, and I'd just like to know more from her, some insight. Well, I think this or I think that, and, I know she knows what she's doing, but I just want to see what she kind of comes up with, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what she does. So we'll
That's
put the
it.
ball in her court. We'll have her come up when her contract's up. We'll bring her up to the commission meeting and I'll let her know, summarize what we heard tonight and have her respond to kind of her suggestions.
Sounds good.
Okay, no, sounds great.
One of the suggestions I'd offer her to consider and ask her which one maybe she's done it, which one works better. One night's all country. The next night is all rock and jazz, pop, whatever. That isn't country or western, either one of them. But you might find that people with cowboy hats and boots and all that, they'll come here that country night and they'll spend the whole night, the whole day and night here in Leavenworth. The other day, you may not get any of the other folks, that no, I don't want to listen to that country stuff, which I think they're killing themselves over that. They're really missing something if they don't come and listen to the country and western. But what you call it?
I like all kinds of music.
Well, I do too. But no,
I do. I like country, rock, jazz.
so do I. But I'm wondering,
Yeah,
there are
I do.
well, but there are
do,
people who I think will. I think there are folks who they might actually be. I don't want to go there while they're playing that stuff.
Yeah.
And so they'll avoid, say you do it on Friday night, but they'll be there all day Friday. All day Saturday. That sort of thing. Or it might be the other way around. Schedule it out so that there's this kind of music, then there's this kind of music, and then there's this kind of music all through the day, each day. So people can figure out, well, when do we want to go down? Do we want to go down there in the afternoon or in the evening? If the lineup is published, people may decide that they want to come down and listen.
Yeah, it was published.
I think it was published.
It was
yeah.
published.
The
Yeah.
lineup was
Both
published.
times.
Yeah, but if you publish a lineup like that, people will schedule their day maybe around it, around when they're going to be able to listen to the kind of music they want to listen to.
Right,
You know.
and it was published this last year, you know, the different types, and actually, I clicked on the bands to see what they were about. That was me.
Well, yeah,
And-
that's
and-
because you're young and you do it all on your telephone.
You gotta send
Well,
in the mailbox.
and that's what they're working on with communication.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Get out to all different kinds of, you know, and age groups of, hey, this is what we have to offer for you, so,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we own the Camp Leavenworth, I think it's campleavenworth.com, I have it right here, so, you know, this was the past website. So, you know, this is ideally where we're communicating that out, and I think you're right, that is an avenue for communication, whether that is on the laptop, on the computer,
yeah.
on the phone, word of mouth, however that travels.
Hey, Penny, one more thing, sorry, I'll let you go on.
yeah.
But getting back to making sure we are partnering with our local businesses on, you know, this event too. If you can maybe just do a follow-up to know, like, some of the groups that, you know, maybe what the response is and, you know, how they can possibly assist with that. And if we've got any gaps, we need to contact more folks. What does that look like? Would that be possible to get that together in the next?
Are you talking specifically vendors? I guess that's, I'm looking for a little more.
Yeah, so anybody that's got brick and mortar here in town that could benefit from having new customers coming in that doesn't know about them. So it could be restaurants, it could be you know, some of our other shops like off of Delaware, just for example, you know, but anybody. So I know we don't have visibility to all of that, but if Main Street can give us some more feedback, you know, let us know what they can do. Just want to make sure that we're really covering all of our bases on that. And if we need to get something announced, something else, and do a bigger event to talk about everything, just want some follow-up on that. And I can do some things on my side too.
Okay.
See what I can
I
talk about.
heard, find ways to leverage this event to connect it with businesses. Not necessarily the businesses will be there as, say, a craft vendor or a food vendor with a food truck, but the event really leveraging what we already have here in the community. Is it?
Yeah, that and maybe more participation, you know, in some of those, you know, the tents or some of the vendors there. I think a combination, just to maximize this time, so.
Okay,
It's excellent. I appreciate it.
yeah. No,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is 600 Cherokee discussion.
Madam Mayor and Commission, staying in the downtown. I'm going to give a brief background before I get into this item or on this item. At the April 13th, 2021 City Commission meeting, the Commission approved the purchase of 600 Cherokee Street for $205,000. Those funds were from the city's economic development set aside from our portion of the countywide sales tax. So when the countywide sales tax was extended for 20 years in 2015, the City Commission said of our disbursement, we're setting aside 15% of that annually for economic development efforts. A few things that's been used for. We provided a $500,000 incentive to CPAC, which was the Consolidated Outpatient Accounting Center on the VA campus. Something like the roadway in front of Culver's, they didn't have any financial incentives on that project, but we improved that small section of Lakeview. We give small business grants out of that. We do ADA upgrades for businesses. Out of that, so those are economic development dedicated dollars, and those where those funds came from. The building is a two-story commercial property located at the northwest corner of 6th Street and Cherokee Street in downtown Leavenworth. Property had been vacant for more than 15 years, failed to attract a buyer. Based on the inflexible list price and project costs of extensive repairs to bring the building back to usable condition. Having been in the building and having talked to roofing companies and prospective buyers over the last decade, complete new roof, complete new upgrade of just about everything in the building. You're looking at a conservative estimate of about $500,000. City staff in Leavenworth Main Street have met numerous times with prospective buyers. And while there's always been a healthy interest in the building, we were never able to overcome the hurdles mentioned above. Basically, for the residential rates that you could charge for 2 units upstairs and the commercial rates you could charge on the first 2 floors, every developer that I've come across, and I believe Main Street as well, has not been able to make this work, even with the fact that it's in the city's neighborhood revitalization area, which is a property tax abatement tool. Low interest loans, or at the time, a couple years ago, no interest loans through the e-network program. and also city business grants. So the city had a decision to make. One of the tools in our toolbox is to purchase buildings. We've done this before. We did it with the Ramada Inn downtown, and we raised that property and got the hotel there. So the city did. So the city purchased the property and issued a request for proposals on April 20th of 2021 for the redevelopment of the property. The RFP was open-ended, asking for proposals and not dictating a use, price, or any details. We wanted to leave it up to the imagination and the professional ability of development, of the redevelopment community. The city toured numerous prospective developers through the property ahead of the May 20th, 21 bid opening, and ultimately we received one full proposal, and that was from Darren and Amy Mann, who are local property owners. The Manns presented a concept for development to the commission at the June 15th, 2021 study session. Following the presentation, the commission provided a consensus to staff to start working on a development agreement with them. Unfortunately, after extended negotiations with Darren and Amy, they did notify us that they were no longer interested in the property. I met again with Darren recently, and although there was no single item, some of the things he mentioned was just the uncertainty of the construction environment right now, concerns with being tied to specific deadlines. The framework of the agreement offered by the city did include a modest purchase price and then a series of benchmarks related to progress of the building. Tied those to building permits, certificates of occupancy to ensure that progress was made on the property. With so many unknowns in the construction environment, uncertainty in available building materials, contractors, etc., Darren and Amy thought at this point that the project was not for them. When I did contact them again, they did indicate that yes, they are out. You know, it wasn't really the contract terms. If we were to go more lenient, they still wouldn't be interested at this time. It's just not right for them. They're rebuilding a facility that they had fire damage. They've purchased a couple other buildings before this in the downtown. So that's where we are now. The fact is that the city owns 600 Cherokee, and the goal is to get this property back on the tax rolls, back into a functioning place. It's a key intersection in downtown Leavenworth. Our options right now, as I see them, and certainly open to any ideas that the commission has, is probably the most likely one is to reissue the RFP. The first time it was open for 30 days. If we did this, I would suggest extending the RFP time. We did do some pretty good, we had good outreach from local and outside of the city, but probably could get more. So we have quite a few development partners who have done projects in different areas of the city, whether that's Cadence Development or Fishman Development or the developers who did some of the other projects in town or in Lansing that we could reach out to. Certainly Main Street and the Chamber of Commerce should be involved in getting this out to their members and their members, spreading it out from there. And then we could work through all those contacts to try to attract more options, you know, have it be a little bit more competitive. I do caution that you're probably not going to see, again, the full purchase price that we invested in this, as was never the expectation to recoup that. But maybe we could get some more interest in the project. The other one would be to contract a realtor and put it on the commercial market. I would really advise against that right now. It was on the commercial market for 15 years and it didn't go anywhere. You'd also probably lose a little leverage on development agreements and being able to set the terms of that. So again, those are just two options. I don't know if there's any other ideas or concepts. We don't have to make a decision tonight, but if we did, if there was a consensus to, hey, let's look at putting this back out, let's take another run at it, certainly something that the commission could give direction for staff to pursue.
I have one.
Yeah.
Why don't we tear this sucker down?
Ooh, that's just what I'm
Start
thinking.
So it's extremely expensive to build infill development, especially in a downtown. The demolition cost would be pretty substantial, and then you're looking at a narrow corner lot with some grading issues, no parking, with a pretty hefty investment. It's certainly something, if we do decide to do something like an RFP, we could do some work on that. We could get some demo costs. We could see what a piece of vacant property like that might go for.
We've been messing with this for 15 years.
Right. But I think, you know, we did have good interest, and we have had good interest over the years. I still think it's a viable spot for the right developer.
I think Sorry, Jermaine. you're gonna say-
Well, I was just thinking, since David Mann was the only one that submitted a full proposal, since that time, has anybody inquired about the purchase of the building?
I think a lot of it has been because it's, the perception is that we had, selected a developer, so I haven't received any direct, I don't know, Wendy, if you've had any direct inquiries?
I'm hearing of interest.
I'm sorry, Wendy, why don't you come on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
When
yeah.
you shake
We certainly
That's
have,
why she was here.
Yeah, but I mean, I think definitely extending the time, keep it open more, and let's see what we're doing to try to generate more interest. And I think encourage everybody, like, look, be creative with your offer, and let's think down the road. And, again, I think, just looking at it from a partnership standpoint, what could this be? I mean, yeah, it stinks that it's been like that for, 15 years.
Right.
But, yeah, before, potential demo or something like that, just make sure we've exhausted, all of our options.
We need better communication and marketing, I think, yeah.
It goes a long way.
It does, yeah.
So, Wendy, Shai, did you have anything?
We've received some interest, knowing that Darren is no longer involved. And so just kind of here to listen and see what you're gonna end up doing. If you're gonna put the RFP out again, we certainly will broadcast that from Main Street. We have more developers that are looking downtown and purchasing buildings as well that have somewhat of a background. I think you still want the commercial on the main floor and residential above.
If possible, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's
yeah, there's,
nice.
Fixing up the building.
there's zoning
Just in
restrictions
general.
related to first floor residential, so.
So I don't think it would hurt to issue the RFP again, and naturally, there's gonna be a lot of people that we heard before, after the RFP was awarded, well, I wanted that property. Well, I heard from lots of people that wanted the property that just were gonna sweep it out, clean it up, and open up a business. I said, it doesn't work that way, it's gotta be brought up to code. And
Correct.
so, putting your finances on the line, like Darren did, or somebody else that's gonna come forward, is important, because it is a big project. Our built structure is the most green, even though there's a lot of things that have to be upgraded, but, and our historic structures are important downtown, that's who we are. So, sorry, Nancy.
That's all right. No. You just said there was no other options, that was the only one I could think of at the time.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy.
It's an important area, and I think, with the right creativity, the right developer entity, people look back and say, wow, this is a pretty cool project. So,
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's a great corner. It really is a great corner.
Let's put it out there again.
Commissioner Hengler, did you have?
Yeah, is there any limit to what kind of a business can go into the first floor?
So, not really. It's zoned, it's central business district, I think that has it going for it, there are no restrictions on parking. You cannot have residential on the first floor in the first 45 feet,
30
35 feet.
should be retail
So it would be
compatible.
commercial, however, with us having it, we could dictate a little bit of use, but as far as that, no, nothing that's restricted.
And can we get a zoning, a waiver of the zoning for the top two floors? I mean, what if a business wanted to come in and say, yes, our offices are gonna be up on the second and third floor?
Yeah, they wouldn't need any waiver. Yeah, in a central business district, you can have office on both floors at anywhere.
Okay.
And it's only a two-story building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should take.
It was a long time ago I was there. It
The
wasn't
least
even
building
called,
is three-story, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't called the Venom Club when I
Yes.
was in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's many, many, many years ago. I wanted to ask you, Wendy,
Yeah.
how do you, what is your reach when you wanna get information out like the RFP? If we go with the RFP, do you go outside of the city, or you just go to the members of the investors of Main Street, or?
Well, we would certainly use our social medias, but we would reach out to the investors as well. So we've got everybody from bankers to restaurateurs to retailers to service businesses that are on that, and let them know, this is available, reach out to your resources as well.
Yeah, so you go out beyond just Leavenworth.
The city does.
And I've got a
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
commercial
Put our
realtors that are in the metro area that I reach out to.
Okay, good. That's one of the things I was wondering, what's the reach that you have? So, that's,
Is that,
thank you.
Commissioner Wilson, did you have anything?
I think we're looking for a consensus.
Right, well, I want to make sure if
Yeah.
anyone else had any
Well, I'm in
comments.
favor of putting it out for, additional 60 days. And my question would be, what do we do after that 60 days if we don't have anybody, interested in the
I think we should
purchase?
put it out longer.
Longer than 60
I think
days?
it's gonna take longer to get out
How many?
to, if we put out stuff in the Kansas City area and elsewhere too.
Well, you don't, I mean, there's no, you could say you're gonna do your first review in 60 days.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay,
you don't,
yeah.
you don't have to,
Okay.
you don't have to cut it off. I mean, you are dictating the terms of this. If you got a bid on the 61st day, there's nothing that prevents the commission from saying,
Okay.
I wanna look at this.
So do we have a consensus to reissue the RFP?
And
I
review
so
it in,
consent.
yeah, and review
Yes.
it in 60 days.
Review it in 60 days?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep, yes, okay.
Thank you, Wendy, for.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
thanks,
you,
Wendy.
Wendy,
Yeah, thanks for coming
for
up.
comment. Okay, so that is the end of our study session, and I will go around for final comments. Start with Paul Kramer.
Yeah, I have some news on the 4th Street project in the downtown. We are working with both our engineer and our design team on that. They will be in town for 3 days, Tuesday, January 25th, Wednesday, January 26th, and then back on Friday, January 28th, doing field work, doing some conceptual ideas, and then on Tuesday night, the 25th, they're gonna come and speak to the commission. At that time, we are in the preliminary stages of design, so, specific questions, but they're gonna give you an overview of what they've done and sort of talk to you about the process. And then probably tomorrow or Thursday, we'll send out a press release and social media, and of course, share with Main Street and the Chamber. We're gonna have 3 public open house times over those 2 days, over the Tuesday and the Wednesday. 2 will be during the day and 1 will be in the evening to try to allow maximum opportunity for business owners and residents to come and talk about the program, the project. It's early, they're not gonna be reviewing drawings or anything like this. These are brainstorming sessions, so we'll be on site at the Riverfront Community Center. We'll certainly put this out. This was sort of ironed out today, and we'll finalize it tomorrow and then put it out. But just to give you a heads up that everything is working, they've been doing utility locates and traffic counts and data on that, and we'll hold the first public meetings on the 25th and the 26th, and I'll give you the times for those coming up.
Okay,
So that project's moving well.
okay,
That's all I have.
that's it?
Okay, Commissioner Hengillen, anything?
Happy New Year.
Yeah, definitely want to apologize to the commission for my tardiness today, and Happy New Year. It's good to be here.
I'm writing you, no.
I think I get one a year.
No. Okay, Commissioner Bowder.
Well, I just wanted to say, over the holidays, my grandkids came home, and one of the things, you never know how, what you do here affects the youth, and I think it's so important. But the kids, one thing they wanted to see, they're 6 and 9, I was really surprised, they wanted to come to City Hall and see where we work, and they wanted to, so we came in and we met with the city manager, they thought he was the new mayor. And they sat here in the chairs, and we took pictures, and we walked around and looked at the display cases out there. My grandsons are half Japanese, so they were really interested in the sister city, Omihachiman. So, anyway, it was, they're learning more about government. They know about government more than what I did when I was their age. So, just think about what we do that affects the youth in our community.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's all I have.
And definitely Happy New Year to everybody and everybody watching, and really, really excited to start our sprint for the year and clear a lot of hurdles and see what we can do to grow our town.
Okay, thank you. And just on a final note, I was talking to Penny, Assistant City Manager, and she has a little bit of a funny. If you don't mind sharing.
I don't.
Well, and what we were talking about, because I know, we had the snow, and, you can't win with everyone on the clearing of the snow. I think the primary that, how do I want to say it? The pre-treat of it helped quite a bit. So, but, yeah, Penny, come up and we could tell your story from your kids.
Uh-oh.
Your kids.
Well, I think everyone's aware that the new thing that happened this year is the elementary schools all decorated the front of a snowplow.
Yeah.
And they're very proud of that. All the kids know about this, and that's all my kids wanted to know about was it their snowplow that was plowing the streets by our house? So it's kind of one of those little things. It was a great idea. We're able to make it happen. But that's my guess is you talk to some elementary school kids that are around here. That's what they want to know is it their elementary school snowplow
That they decorated.
That's cool.
No, I just thought I wanted her to share that. I thought that was cool on a child's perspective, So, no, I didn't have anything. Happy New Year.